Hello and welcome to Higurashi no Nakukoro ni, or Higurashi when they cry. My name is Carol. Welcome guys, gals, and non-binary pals. So I have already actually played the first couple chapters of this game. However, I was told that there is a mod called 07th mod that will update the graphics. So I went ahead and I'm going to do the new version of it. It also has vocals along with it. So I'll be having those vocals on, so the original voice actors and beautiful graphics, all that kind of stuff. So this will be a brand new version of this Let's Play. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Demoned Away chapter, Onikakushi. Welcome to the world of Higurashi when they cry. The Onikakushi arc will be the opening, inviting you into this world. Sit back, relax, and enjoy life in Hinamizawa to the fullest. The difficulty for this chapter is extremely high, but I hope you will enjoy the reward. Please do not deplore yourself. Even if this world does not forgive you, I will forgive you. Please do not deplore yourself. Even if you do not forgive the world, I will forgive you. So please tell me, what will it take for you to forgive me? This story is a work of fiction. June XX, 1983. If I was going to be ripped apart anyways, having my body ripped apart would have been far better. I trusted her. No, I still trust her. Even in this very moment, I trust her. But I'm starting to realize I only wanted to trust her because I refused to accept the truth. It was as if I was trying to convince myself in such a silly, sobbing voice. And those tears making a mess of my face. That mechanical, repetitive sound finally stilled and everything fell silent. Only the cry of the cicadas remained, annoyingly loud. And yet, I felt as if I could still hear her voice. But that's not possible. She is no longer speaking. The only one crying is me. She never cried. Even when she repeated those words over and over, she never expressed any emotion because there were none to show. If she had no tears to shed for me, then I shouldn't need to shed any for her. Then why? This pain, my eyes getting moist. Why was this happening? I still wanted to believe I hadn't been split apart. That's enough, right? Inside me, an inner voice whispered gently. My spirit had suffered enough. And countless times I'd wavered over whether I should just throw the battered thing away. Except I've stubbornly refused to do that, haven't I? I'd feel better if I just threw it away. Even knowing that, I chose to believe, didn't I? Only I can understand that painful struggle and appreciate it. Hey, me? I've tried more than enough. I'll acknowledge that much. So, isn't it all right just to take the easy way out? Besides, I'm not throwing it away. I'm leaving it behind with her, like flowers by a grave. Now then, calm your nerves. Even though you can't feel your right arm, just lift it up, and with every swing, forget a little more. That kindness made me happy. That adorable smile brought me joy. I liked petting your head. I loved how demure you were. Because this will be the last time. Because when I swing this down, I'll forget. This is my first and last bouquet for you. Perhaps I really did love you. Somebody has been apologizing for a while now. I wonder what she's apologizing for. It felt wrong to eavesdrop, so I tried to ignore it. It had been a while since I'd last went to the city. I only returned to attend the funeral of a relative. Even though I'd lived there until last month, I found the bustle of the city to be overwhelming. Those skyscrapers and the multi-lane roads, the melodious cacophony of the crosswalk. Even the campaign speeches blaring in front of the station felt nostalgic. The place where I live now isn't nearly as lively. There's only the chirping of locusts and the babbling of brooks, and the cry of the Higurashi, the evening cicadas. Rather than making me feel lonely, that quietness had begun to instill a sense of serenity. There is nothing where I'm living now. I don't just mean there aren't any burger joints. There aren't even vending machines. No music stores, no restaurants, and no arcades. An ice cream parlor? No chance. The nearest town has some stuff like that, but it's an hour away by bike. But come to think of it, it wasn't really a big deal. There were music stores and arcades and ice cream parlors where I used to live, but it wasn't like I ever hung out at any of them. I'd lived in the city for 10 years and never once had been to an ice cream parlor. I should have gone at least once. It's only now that I'm starting to regret that a little. Somebody is still apologizing. Who is she apologizing to? She's apologized so much, so just forgive her already. There's no reason anyone should ever need to apologize that much. I started to feel a bit annoyed at whoever was refusing to forgive her. No matter how bad the mistake, there's nothing that can't be forgiven. There's no such thing as an irreparable mistake. You just need to be more careful next time. She's still apologizing, even now. Then, has she really done something that can't be fixed? I have no idea what she's done, but if it can't be fixed, then that's all the more reason to forgive her. No matter how much she apologizes, nothing will change. But even so, she keeps apologizing in such a heartbreaking voice. Hey you, the one she's apologizing to. Why don't you go ahead and forgive her? She's apologizing in such a pathetic voice.
Keiichi, そろそろ着くぞ.
Keiichi, we're almost there.
起きなさい.
Wake up. I was finally roused from my nap by my father's prodding. It seemed the train had reached its final stop. We'd spent hours riding everything from the bullet train to the local routes. It was hard to believe that the landscape beyond the window and the city I was in a half a day ago were the same country. No, that they were even from the same era. From there, we'd take a car deeper into the mountains. Past where the dense forest encroaching on the mountain road suddenly opened up. There, where I live now, Hinamizawa. Even though we were approaching summer, the morning air still had a frigid bite. Although in exchange, you could fill your lungs up with crisp, clean air. Flipping open the window, I was greeted with a verdant expanse. Nothing but trees. The neighboring house was far away on the other side, so I was probably the only one enjoying that view and that air. I filled my lungs with another deep breath. Since I last started living in Hinamizawa, I learned that even air had its own taste. I quickly finished getting ready for school and headed downstairs for breakfast. My mother was the only one there. My father was nowhere to be seen. He was probably up working until the early morning. Dad had a rather unconventional job as a painter. It's such a laid-back profession. Get up when you want, sleep when you want, and work when you want. I was so jealous of that easygoing lifestyle. I even wrote for school that I wanted to be a painter when I grew up. Dad was ecstatic about that. It was just because it looked easy. I'd never tell him that, though. Mom laid breakfast out on the table. Seaweed, pickled vegetables, raw egg, and grilled salmon. My mom was such a good cook, it was scary. A perfect, immaculate, ideal breakfast. Unlike my dad, who didn't even know the meaning of the word schedule, my mother never squandered any time or effort. She hummed a little tune as she brought over the miso soup. It seemed like she was in a good mood today.
こっちに引っ越してきてからケイイチが早起きになって嬉しいわね。
I'm so happy you've been waking up early since we moved here, Keiichi.
早起きしないと朝飯を食いそびれるんだよ。
If I don't get up early, I don't make it in time for your early breakfasts. I thought I was being cute, responding with a wisecrack after being praised for being good.
ご飯はいっぱい？それとも半分くらいでいい？
Full bowl of rice, or will half be enough?
山盛り。
Pile it on. First, I savored the steaming hot rice with the seaweed. After that, I covered it with the egg. Between bites of rice, I enjoyed the crunch of the pickles. Not bad at all. Excellent, as usual. Watching me clean my plate, my mom gave me a warm
こ
smile.
っちに引っ越してきてから、圭一が朝食を欠かさないんで嬉しいわね。
I'm so happy you haven't skipped breakfast ever since we moved here, Keiichi. I was not a morning person when we lived in the city. I slept right until the last minute before school and rarely ate breakfast. Boycotting the breakfast Mom made me each morning, that was probably the only way I could protest being forced to attend cram school. I guess that was what you'd call my rebellious phase. I wouldn't so much as look at the breakfast she woke up early every day to make. If I could go back in time, I'd slap myself. Mindful of the time, Mom rushed me along with a wide grin.
そろそろレナちゃんと待ち合わせの時間じゃない？
Isn't it about time to meet up with Rena-chan?
急いで急いで。
Hurry, hurry. Mom really seemed to enjoy the fact that her son was going to school with a girl. Rena is one of my classmates. She really enjoys looking after people, coming to meet me every day without fail. The way I looked at it, a guy my age walking to school with a girl was just lame. But, well, keeping a classmate waiting for me every day wouldn't be very considerate. Seriously though, how long does Rena wait there every day for me, every morning? Taking one last gulp of miso soup, I raced for the door.
レナちゃんにお漬物ありがとうって伝えてね。
Please thank Rena-chan for the pickles. Come to think of it, those pickles weren't store-bought, were they? If I'd known that, I would have savored them a bit more.
はいよ。
Morning. Keiichi-kun. Good morning. Her cheerful greeting was as fresh as the morning itself.
相変わらず早いな。
You're always so early.
たまにはのんびり朝寝坊したっていいんだぜ。
You should try sleeping in sometime.
お寝坊したらケイチくんを待たせちゃうじゃない。
If I sleep in, I'll keep you waiting. She's so conscientious and such a good person.
そん時は置いてく。
If that ever happens, I'll just leave you behind.
ケイチくん冷たい。
Keiichi-kun, you're so cold.
いつも待っててあげてるのに。
I wait for you all the time.
サクサク置いてく。
I'll leave you in the
キリ
dust
キリ置いてく。
without looking back.
どうして冷たいんだろう。
Why are you so mean? Why? Rena had a slightly troubled look on her face. Toying with her was rather fun because of how quickly her mood changed.
嘘。ちゃんと待ってるよ。
I'm kidding. I'd wait for you. With those words, Rena seemed to relax. Her face flushed bright red.
ありがとう。
Thank you.
レナが来るまでずーっと待ってる。
I'd wait forever until you came, Rena.
いつまでも。
No matter how long.
ずっと。
Forever. Rena turned bright red, steam rising from her head as her brain short-circuited. She's especially weak to this sort of talk. It's quite rare to find someone this fun to tease.
レナはロマンスものの文庫本は読んだことあるか？
Have you ever read a romance novel, Rena?
ないよ。読んだことない。
I haven't. Never read any before. From that response, I gathered she was interested in them, but was too embarrassed to actually buy one. I couldn't imagine what would happen if she did read one. She'd probably turn red and pass out.
そうそう。お袋から伝言。漬物サンキューでしたって。
Oh yeah, message from Mom. She says thanks for the pickles.
どういたしまして。
It was nothing. You're welcome.
どうだった？
How were they?
しょっぱくなかったかな？
Not too salty? They weren't that salty. Actually, they had a pretty light flavor to them. It would have been fine to just be honest and say that they were good, but apparently I couldn't be that
そ
forthright.
の前に聞きたい。
I'd like to ask something before
あの
that.
漬物を漬けたのはレナか？
Were you the one who pickled them, Rena?
レナのお母さんか？
Or was it your mom?
なんで聞くんだろう？
Huh? Huh? Why do you ask?
しょっぱかった？
Were they too salty? Her attitude completely changed as she began to panic frantically.
レナか？レナのお母さんか？
Was it you, Rena? Or was it your mom?
なんで作った人聞くんだろう？太郎。
Well, why are you asking who made them? Why?
どっちが作ったかで感想が著しく変わる。
Depending on who made them, my opinion of them might change drastically. Uh-huh. She counted frantically on her fingers, trying to remember the amount of salt she'd used to pickle them. It wasn't like I was trying to tease her, but I couldn't stop myself. Guys who take pleasure in this sort of thing are probably the worst. Guys like me. Anna nervously opened and closed her mouth over and over, trying to muster a response.
レナだけど。
It was me.
うまかった。
It was delicious.
前回に続きなかなかだったぜ。飯との相性は最高だった。
Pretty good, just like the last ones. They went perfectly with the rice. Her face went bright red again. She was completely spacing out. It truly was a lot of fun to tease her. I pray that Rena never gets taken advantage of by some lowlife. Keep at it, Rena. I'll train you until you handle it just like the average person. Or so I decided for myself.
行こうぜ。ミオンを待たせるとあいつうるさいぞ。
Let's go. If we keep Mion waiting, we'll never hear the end of it. Seeing as she just keeps spacing out otherwise, I called Rena back to reality so we could make our way to school. The strange, easily flustered girl is Rena Ryugu. I've only known her for about a month, but I've come to realize it's not just her name that is strange. Mi-chan, good morning. Coming up to the next rendezvous point, we saw another person waiting for us. Noticing us, she waved.
お、来た来た。遅いよ二人とも。
Oh, finally, you two are late.
いつも遅いのはお前の方だろ。
Usually you're the one who's late. In sharp contrast to the diligent Rena, this one marched to the beat of her own drum. She's Mion Sonozaki. For what it's worth, she's our senior and the head of the class.
おはようレナ。そしてケイちゃんお久しぶり。
Morning, Rena. And it's been a while, Kei-chan.
何年ぶりだっけ？
How many years?
2日しか休んでねえよ。
I was only off 2 days.
そうだっけか？
You don't say.
前に会った時はこんなにちっちゃくて可愛かったのにな。
You were such a cute little tyke the last time I saw you. Mion's gaze started at my chest and dropped straight down, focusing on the point between my legs. So she was saying it was my crotch that was cuter back then. Before you ask, just to be clear, I've never actually tried to show it to her. I've grown quite splendidly. You'd be surprised. Not only is he bigger, but he has a little mustache now. Being so engorged with energy every morning is quite a problem, though. I'll introduce you next time, so be sure to greet him properly. Don't say next time. Right now is just fine. How about letting the little guy get a breath of the fresh morning air? I don't think I've ever heard talk so dirty you could smell it fouling up the morning air before. Mion sure does act like an old man sometimes. Gotcha. Time for the big reveal. Hope you don't regret it. As my hand reached for my fly, Rena began to ramble in a near panic.
ねえ、何の話？
Hey, what are you talking about?
何の話だろう？何の
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Red-faced and flustered, Rana tried to play dumb, but it was obvious she knew exactly what we were talking about.
どうだった？
How was it?
久しぶりの都会はさ。
Seeing the city again. Mion switched gears, dropping the dirty talk and changing the morning topic to something more befitting the pleasant morning.
葬式で行っただけだぜ。
I only
慌ただ
went
しいだけだったよ。
I only went for a funeral. I didn't have much time.
でさ、探しといてくれた？
So yeah, did you look for it?
頼んどいたやつ。
That thing I asked
お
for?
前、人の話聞いてないだろ。
You're not listening at all.
俺は葬式で帰っただけだぜ。
I just came back from a
お
funeral.
もちゃ屋巡りをしてる余裕なんかなかったんだよ。
I didn't have any time to look around in toy stores.
ち。
Tisk, tisk, tisk.
おもちゃ屋とホビーショップは全然違うよ。
Toy stores and hobby shops are completely different, you know.
特に洋物、こっちじゃなかなか手に入らないからね。
It's really difficult to get Western stuff around here after all.
みーちゃん、またゲームの話？
Is this about games again, Mi-chan? Mion nodded proudly as Rena giggled.
そう、ケイちゃんに洋芸のカタログを持ってきてもらいたかったんだけどね。
Yep, I wanted Kei-chan to bring me back a Westport catalog, you see. Westport was short for Western Imported Games. Using that abbreviation did make it sound pretty geeky.
そんなのまた通販で取り寄せりゃいいじゃねえか。
You can just get them to send you one in the mail, can't
あ
you?、
そうするかな。
Well, I guess I have to now.
またプレイングの熱いゲームを入荷するからね。
I'm gonna get another game full of hot action.
今度は私にもわかりやすいゲームがいいな。
This time I'd like a game that's easy to understand. Mion is a board and card game enthusiast, and I hear she's collected quite a lot of different ones. According to Rena, Mion's room has kind of become a museum for domestic and foreign games.
俺にも分かりそうなゲームがあったらやらせてくれよ。
If there's a game you think I'd understand, let me play too.
いいよ。
Of course.
ケイちゃんさえ良ければね。でもうちらのレベルは高いよ。
If Kei-chan is up for it, I should warn you though, pretty tough.
上等じゃねえか。
Just what I want.
俺だって遊び100番遅れを取るつもりはないぜ。
I play all sorts of games. I don't intend to lose. Whoa.
じゃあ今度はケイチくんも仲間に加わるのかな。
Then we'll let you into the group this time, I guess. Bristling with joy from head to toe, Rana looked back and forth between me and Mion. Mion gave her affirmative wink, and her expression perked up even further.
男の子ってきっと外で遊ぶ方が好きだと思ってたからダメかと思ってたよ。
I thought boys preferred playing outside more, so I figured you wouldn't want to. Rana laughed happily. From such a friendly conversation, you wouldn't think I had moved here less than a month ago. I understood that they did all they could to make a transfer student like me feel at home. I'd have to try harder to fit in, so they won't feel like they have to try to make me feel welcome. I felt like if I acted a bit more open than I usually am, it should probably be about right for this place. Hinamizawa was a really small village. Not only was there only one school, but there was only one class. That class encompasses all different grades and ages. There are about 30 students at different levels, and they all study in the same class. I'm told that long ago there used to be a bigger school building, and they had actual separate classes. However, it seems something happened that it made it become a single class, and now it stayed that way out of tradition. I was shocked at first, but humans adapt pretty quickly. I've already gotten quite used to it. The sound of children playing started right from the morning. With such a lively mood, it felt more like a kindergarten than a proper school. Not that that was a bad thing. Mion, who had been walking in front of us up until then, suddenly let me take the lead. Right in front of the classroom door. So I was meant to slide the door open and enter the room first. Too bad. I wasn't gonna fall for that again.
ここで先頭を譲るとはな。
To think you'd give up the lead here.
お手並み拝見ってことかよ。
You meant for this to be a test of my skills. Mion chuckled with a haughty smirk on her face.
どうしたの二人とも。
What is it, you guys?
下がってろレナ。危ないぞ。
Step back, Rena. It's
やっ
dangerous.
た。
She's here.
え
Huh?
じゃあ、さとこちゃんが
Then Satoko-chan is. Her name was Satoko Hojo. She was a disrespectful, impudent, bossy kid. The way she talks was annoying, but it would be immature to get worked up over just that. The real problem was this.
見え見えの罠だな。引き戸の上に挟んだ黒板消し。
Quite the obvious trap, a blackboard eraser wedged in the door.
見え見えだぜ、サトコ。
It's too obvious! Sadoko! A haughty laugh came from beyond the door.
お見事、ケイちゃん。こりゃ今回は勝負あったかな。
Excellent, Kei-chan. Guess that means you win this
いや、
round?
相手はサトコだ。
No, this is Sadoko we're talking
これだ
about.
けとは思えない。
I doubt this is it. After falling for such intricate traps since the day I transferred, I no longer let my guard down. Sadoko liked to combine a variety of traps. Traps that were simply there to bait you into the main one. Traps that relentlessly kept coming at you like a sadistic Rube Goldberg machine. The list goes on. As well as being clever, they almost never misfire. When you least expect it, she strikes. No escape, no time to
見
relax.
たところ黒板消しは普通。
By the looks of it, this eraser is normal.
石とかは入れてないみたいだな。
No rocks or anything in it. I took a pretty heavy hit from a blackboard eraser loaded with rocks on my first day.
じゃあさ、ガラガラって開けて落としちゃえばいいんじゃないかな。
So then, why don't you just open the door and let it
それ
drop?
だ。
That's what it is. That's what Sadako was after, making me focus my attention upward. So as I lifted my hand to the door, there were thumbtacks stuck to the sliding door handle with tape, a frightening trap. A potent and terrifying trap. Concealed by using the blackboard eraser.
見事なコンボだ、サトコ。
An impressive combination, Sadako.
だが所詮はガキの浅知恵だったな。
But in the end, nothing more than the trivial machinations of a child. Assured of my victory, I threw the door open and stepped into the room. I felt something strange at my ankle. It was similar to the sensation of a jump rope catching on my leg. By the time I realized she had me, hook, line, and sinker, it was already too late. I began to fall in an almost picturesque manner.
ケイちゃん、避けて
Kei-chan, watch out! Instinctively reacting to Mion's shrill warning, I twisted my body in midair before I landed on the floor.
いっててて。
Ow, 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 ow. An inkstone filled to the brim was placed right where I would have landed. I shuddered, imagining the situation had I landed square in it.
あらあら、これは。
My, what do we have here?
おはようございます、ケイチさん。朝から賑やかですわね。
A fair morning to you, Keiichi-san. Aren't we a lively one this morning? Still sprawled in an awkward position, I was greeted by a mocking voice.
一段とスペシャルなトラップワークになったじゃないか、サトコ。
That was a step up from your usual traps, Sadoko.
私、何のことかわかりませんもの。
I haven't the faintest idea what you mean.
朝からついてませんわね。
You're quite unlucky this morning.
てめえ。あいててててて。
You little... Ow, 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 ow. It seemed I'd inadvertently sprained my back a little when I'd landed. Better than landing on that inkstone. A small hand gently rubbed my head.
ケイチの痛いの飛んでいけです。
Pain, go away. The small, dainty hand continued to gently stroke my head.
腰とかはくじかなかったですか？
You didn't sprain your back or anything, did you?
こうして撫でていれば、痛いのは消えてきますです。
If you rub it like this, the pain disappears. I thought about asking how rubbing my head would help my back, but I didn't. It's not so much about what you actually do, it's the thought that counts.
ありがとな。リカちゃんのおかげで痛みが引いてきたぜ。
Yeah, thank Rika-chan. The pain's going away now.
リカちゃん、おはよ
Hey, Rika-chan. Good morning.
う。レナにおはようございます。
Good morning to you, Anna.
みんなにもおはようございますです。
Good morning to all. Rika-chan greeted each of us with an adorable little bow. It was infectious. Rena, Mion, and I all bowed back.
リカちゃんはいい子だよな。
You're such a good kid, Rika-chan.
それに比べてサトコは。
So much better than Sadako. I glared over in her direction. Sadako was whistling while rather deliberately trying to avoid eye contact.
サトコはいい子でございますのことよ。
I am the very model of a good girl.
いい子はこんな凶悪な罠仕掛けないぞ。
A good girl wouldn't set those nasty traps.
言いがかりでございますわ。
Nothing but lies and slander.
何の証拠があって？
Exactly what proof. I picked up Sadako by the back of her collar. She looks like a misbehaved cat when I do this. But a cat wouldn't be setting traps. She's much harder to deal with.
ごめんなさいって言わないなら。
I'm sorry. Try saying that if you won't say it. I cocked my index finger on my thumb, letting it tremble as I brought it closer to Sadako's forehead.
暴力反対ですの。証拠もないのに。
I'm against violence. You don't even have any proof.
言っとくが俺のデコピンはすごく痛い。
Just so you know, my forehead flick really hurts.
ベニヤくらいなら割る。
It can split plywood right in half. Eek!
やめて、寄らないでけだもの。
Stop! Get away from me, you beast!
人様が聞いたら誤解するような言い方をするんじゃねえ。
Don't say that in a way people will misunderstand. A small hand tugged on the back of my shirt.
圭一が2日間もお休みしたから寂しかったのです。
She's been really lonely since you were gone for 2 days. Rika-chan really is just so... How could I do anything more after being told that? I gently released my grip on Sadako, who at this point was on the verge of tears. She still had her eyes clamped shut as she braced herself for the forehead flick.
悔しくなんかないもん。
Doesn't bother me.
泣いちゃダメです、サトコ。
You mustn't cry, Satoko.
ファイト、おーです。
Keep fighting on, yeah? Rika gently patted the head of her prankster friend. You would never guess those two are the same age. I think Sadako could learn a thing or two from Rika-chan.
今度はもっとすごい罠を仕掛けなさいですよ。
Next time, set an even more amazing trap. Wait a minute. As she observed the scene, Rena's expression grew ecstatic as she began to swoon.
サトコちゃん泣いてる。
Sadako-chan is crying.
かわいいよ。
So cute.
持ち帰っちゃダメだからね。
You can't take them home.
だってこんなにかわいいよ。
But they're so cute.
どんなに可愛くてもダメなの。
You can't, no matter how cute they are.
でもちょっとくらいならダメかな。
But just for a bit is fine. Rena kept a cutesy face, even as outrageous ideas spewed from her mouth. According to Mion, Rena is ridiculously weak to cute things and always tries to take them home. object or person.
物もまずいが誘拐はもっとまずいぞ。
Stealing is bad, but abducting people is even worse.
諦めろ。
Give it up.
じゃあ見てるだけだよ。
Then I can just look, just looking.
それならいいよね。
That should be fine, right? Right? Rana swooned over Sadako's crying form. If a girl ever goes missing in Hinamizawa, I'll be forced to turn Rena into the authorities. Forgive me, Rena. I'll be sure to bring you care packages when they put you away.
先生来たよ。
Sensei, the teacher's coming.
早く片付ける。
Quickly, clean everything up.
さとこ、すずりあんたのでしょ。
Sadako, that inkstone is yours, right? Just from Mion's single statement, the entire mood of the room shifted back to normal. The inkstone was bad, but the thumbtacks stuck to the door handle were an even bigger problem. I pulled the tape off carefully, making sure not to skewer myself. Even though Sadako was the one who set it up, everyone had to pick up after her. By the time the teacher entered the room, the bedlam form from before had been neatly tidied up.
間に合ったね。
We made it in time.
起立。
Rise, attention! Mion gave out the morning commands. It's difficult being the teacher for all these different grades in one classroom. She has to teach something different to each one, but naturally she ends up spending all of her time with the younger kids. Rena and Mion, being in the highest grade in the class, end up mostly doing self-study. They even end up helping teach the younger kids, so it seems like they can never get to their own studies. They're actually way behind where my studies have progressed to. As a result, I'm pretty much taking over for the teacher and helping Rena and Mion with their studies.
ケイチくんはお勉強教えるのうまいね。
You're a pretty good teacher, Keiichi-kun.
わかりやすいよ。
It's pretty easy to understand. Rana took a breather after finishing highlighting an important section.
教える端から自信がなくなるよ。
Teaching is making me lose confidence.
自分の理解の浅さがわかるな。
It makes me aware of how shallow my understanding of the subject is.
人に教えるには3倍理解してなければならないって言うしね。
They say to teach someone something, you need to understand it backwards and
ケイ
forwards.
ちゃんもうちらに教えながら同時に復習もできてるわけなんだよ。
So while you're teaching us, you're getting in your own practice. In contrast, this person over here is quite laissez-faire. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry about things. For one, isn't she supposed to be in the grade higher than
ミ
me?
ヨンさ、一言じゃないぞ。
Look, Mion, this is for your own good.
真剣にやんないとまずいぜ。こんなレベルじゃ。
If you don't take this seriously, there'll be trouble later on with these marks.
別に進学校を目指すわけでもないし、
It's not like I'm aiming to go on to a prestigious school.
受験に必要なそこそこができてりゃ十分。
I'll be fine as long as I pick up what I need to know for the entrance exams a little at a time. Her staunch defiance was really something else. This was a different type of relaxed than somebody who already knew what was going to be on the entrance exams.
みーちゃん、ケイチくんが頑張って教えてくれるんだからさ。
Mi-chan, Keiichi-kun is doing his best to teach us.
私たちも頑張ろうよ。
We need to try hard too.
レナは素直ないい子だな。
You're such a good and honest kid, Rena.
先生がきっといい学校に進学させてやるからな。
I'll make sure you guys get accepted into a good school.
ありがとう。
Thanks so much.
レナには特に教えてやるからな。
Especially you, Rena.
二人きりでプライベートレッスンだぞ。
Private lessons. Just the two of us.
プライベートレッスン。
Private lessons. A puff of smoke shaped like a halo popped out of Rena's head. Exactly what kind of private lesson is she fantasizing about that making her turn so red? I'd love to hear the play-by-play of that next time. While Mion was flipping through her vocabulary flashcards, she threw out a casual question.
都会じゃさ、こんなに勉強しなきゃいけないわけ？
So in the city, do you guys have to study this much?
この程度はできないと進学できないね。
If you don't know at least this much, you can't get into university.
進学できないから勉強するわけ？
So you just study to get into a university?
まあ、
Well,
平たく言えばそうなるな。
yeah, basically.
将来役に立たないのは承知で。
Well, knowing that this stuff won't ever come in handy in the future.
こっちじゃあさ、出席日数が足りてりゃみんな進学できるんだよ。
Out here, you can get into university as long as your attendance is good enough.
そうなのか？
Really? Study equals entrance exams. Having that basic law of the universe so easily overturned sent me into a state of shock.
そうかもね。
That is right.
試験で振り落とさなきゃならないほど人もいないし。
There aren't really enough people around here to warrant weeding them out with an exam.
誰でも進学できるならさ、そんなにガリガリとやることもないんじゃない？
If anyone can get into university, then there's no need to be all uptight about this stuff, right?
まあそうだけど、でも一般常識程度にはできた方が。
Well, that's true, but you should at least know stuff that's common knowledge.
おじさんはそんな無駄な勉強に時間をかけるよりさ、
This old geezer thinks that, instead of wasting time studying pointlessly,
この思春期の貴重な時間をもっと有意義に過ごすために使うべきじゃないかなと考えるわけよ。
you should be spending your precious teen years doing more meaningful things. It was too profound of a statement to simply laugh off. But since it was Mion, it probably didn't actually have that deep of a meaning. In place of a chime, the sound of the principal waving a handbell drifted through the classroom.
ケイちゃん、おしまいおしまい。
Kei-chan, we're done, we're done.
さあ、楽しいランチタイム。
It's our wonderful lunchtime. In a complete 180 from her unmotivated state, Mion gave the commands that signaled the end of the morning period.
ケイチくん、お昼にしよう。
Kei-chan, let's have lunch. I might have been making a very troubled face. Joanna smiled brightly at
よ
me.
っしゃ、
All right,
飯にするか。
let's eat. There seemed to be different cliques, even within the class. Most of them were divided by gender and age, but our group was different. Our ages were different, and we had both boys and girls. But we weren't reserved around each other. This level of openness makes a transfer student like me pretty happy. Rena and Mion pushed their desks together so that they were facing each other. At the same time, Sadako and Rika-chan were slowly looking their desks over as well.
ケイチくん、早く早く。
Keiichi-kun, hurry, hurry. Rena waved her chopsticks in an unrefined manner, trying to hurry me along. Unless everyone was together, they wouldn't even open their lunchboxes.
ケイチさんのお弁当はミミチク、日の丸弁当に決まってますわ。
Keiichi-san's lunchbox was most assuredly a plain, miserly rice and seaweed.
恥ずかしがらずお見せなさいな。ほらほら。
Why don't you just show it to us? Come now. Even though Sadako was hurling insults at me, she still wouldn't open the lid to her lunchbox unless I was there. I pulled out my lunchbox swiftly and dragged my chair over to join the circle.
お待たせ。
Hey, sorry to keep you waiting.
では、ミー委員長の号令でいただきますです。
Well then, Representative Me, please give the signal to start. At first, this was kind of embarrassing, but I got used to it pretty fast. At this point, I probably wouldn't even mind my own lunchbox. I wouldn't even open my own lunchbox if someone was too slow. Our ages and genders may have all been different, but we were all friends.
いただきます。
Let's eat! The sound of our little 5-part chorus echoed beautifully throughout the classroom. Really though, I've gotten pretty used to this group made up of all girls. Of course there were other boys in the class, but they were a lot younger, so they were scared to approach me. Well, that's to be expected. Younger boys just see older boys as scary. compare that to girls. Well, at least these girls aren't picky. We put all the side dishes in the middle where everybody was free to pick at them. I thought the girls would mind sharing a meal with a guy, so I was a bit flustered joining in. However, Mion noticed that and teased me quite a bit. As the fruit of my efforts, I can now reach over and take sides from anybody's lunch.
あら、ケイチさんのお弁当は今日は大奮発ではございませんこと？
My, isn't Sir Keiichi's lunch extravagant today?
あらあら、貞子さんのお弁当こそ大奮発ですこと。
My, isn't Madame Sadako's lunch extravagant as
煮物
well?
がシックでいい感じですわ。
The stewed stuff has a nice look to it, rather trendy. Buying into the fight that Sadako was starting, our chopsticks locked in a cross counter, stabbing into each other's lunch.
ビビ
My, how delicious!
里芋がいい感じだぞ。
Oh, this taro is
煮
good.
物は冷めててもうまいよな。
The stewed stuff is good too, even cold. After seeing my happy face, Rika-chan's expression broke into a little smile.
夕べの夕食の煮物少し取っておきましたですよ。
I saved some from dinner last night. By the way, Sadako and Rika-chan's lunches are always the same. Seems that Rika-chan makes them for the both of them every day.
この煮物もリカちゃんが作ったのかい？
Rika-chan made this too?
こいつはお袋の味クラスだよな。
These taste like mom's home cooking. I was honestly impressed. The carrot rosettes weren't from a mold. They were done by hand with a knife. That's not easy to do.
リカちゃんって何気にそういうの得意なんだよな。
I guess Rika-chan's just good at this sort of
お
thing.
裁縫とかお洗濯とかも上手なの。
She's really good at sewing, laundry, and stuff like that.
すごいよね。
Amazing, right?
すっごいよね。
Amazing.
リカはいろいろとすんごいんですのよ。
Rika is quite exceptional in many ways.
お前が威張ることじゃねえ。
That's nothing for you to boast about.
僕よりレナの方がお料理は上手です。
Nana's actually better at cooking than I am.
そのね。
Well, you know. It seemed that the topic of conversation switched to Rena when she wasn't expecting it, making her blush and trip over her words. Rena's lunch really was the star of the table. Not only did it look good, it tasted good. Everyone else pulled from Rena's lunchbox constantly.
これ前に評判良かったからいっぱい作ってみたの。
Everyone liked this one so much before, so I made a lot this
美味しい
time.
かな？
It's good, I hope.
かなり合格点。あ、ミオン、お前取りすぎだよ。
It's got high marks for me. Mion, you're taking too much. Knocking Mion's chopsticks aside, I reached out trying to secure my own portion. Sadako and Rika-chan reached over at the same time and a struggle ensued. Everyone shoveled in mouthful after mouthful while praising it, and Rena's lunchbox was soon empty. It was kind of bad that no one thought to leave any for Rena. But Rena seemed rather satisfied as she looked on.
いかがかしら。レナさんもとてもお料理が上手ですことよ。
How did you like it? Isn't Rena-san an extremely good cook too?
ケイチさんとは大違いですの。
Quite different from Keiichi-san.
だからお前が威張ることじゃねえだろ。
I said that's nothing for you to boast about.
さとこだってケイちゃんと変わらないじゃんよ。
You're not much different from Kei-chan, Sadako.
あんたブロッコリーとカリフラワーの区別つくようになったわけ？
Can you tell the difference between broccoli and cauliflower yet? Sadako's face went pale.
おいおい、ブロッコリーとカリフラワーの違いなら俺だってわかるぜ。
Hey, even I can tell the difference between broccoli and cauliflower, you know?
わかりますもの。わかるもん。
Of course I can. I really can. It's really hard for her to lie.
ケイチくん、どっちでも茹でてマヨネーズかけると美味しいじゃない？
Keiichi, both taste good when they're boiled on top with mayo, right?
いじめちゃかわいそうだよ。みーちゃんも。
You shouldn't be picking on her. Mi-chan too. Rena hurriedly tried to follow up, but Mion laughed haughtily as she drew closer to Sadako.
まあまあ家庭科の授業ってことで。じゃあさとこ、これは？
Well then, let's just pretend it's a little home ec lesson. Now then, Sadako, what's this? Mion lifted up her chopsticks. Between them was a piece of green stuff wrapped in bacon.
でもそれアスパラ。
But that's asparagus. Mion made eye contact with me, and within 0.3 seconds, I heard Rika-chan's mouth covered. Holding a piece of bacon-wrapped asparagus and giving her two choices. She's pretty terrible.
その
well...
黄色がカリフラワー。緑がカリフラ。
The yellow one is cauliflower. No, wait, the green one is cauliflower.
さあどっちだ。
So which?
多分黄色がブロッコリーで青がカリフラワー。でも緑はその
Probably the yellow one is broccoli and the blue one is cauliflower, but the green one is
本当にどっちか分かってる？降参した方が良くない？
Do you really know which is which? How about you just give up? I'd expect no less from the class representative. The oldest. The way she drives people into a corner just shows how much experience she has. This is just a hunch, but she brought the Sonozaki household. This is just a hunch, but being brought into the Sonozaki household must be quite the ordeal.
わかりますもの。
I do know.
わかるもん。
I really do.
じゃあ答えなよ。
Then answer the question.
わかるもん。わかるもん。
I know. I know. She finally broke down and started crying. When she acts like this, she actually starts to seem her age. Ah, cute. Rena entered a state of euphoria as Sadako bawled her eyes out. Rena was in a state of bliss as she rubbed her cheek against Sadako's head and smothered her. Really, a very content face. One that wouldn't care if the world ended right then. It was that kind of smile.
レナ、ミオンさんがいじめるんですの。
Rena, Mimi is picking on me.
かわいい。
Cute.
大丈夫だよ。レナお姉ちゃんが悪い人たちはやっつけちゃうからね。
It's okay, Rena Oni-chan will take care of all those bad people who tease my little sister. Whoosh, boof, bam! It was like a flash of lightning.
今一体何が？
What was that just now? Both of Rena's fists shot out at supersonic speed, striking Mion and me squarely in our faces. Before we knew it, Mion and I were spread eagle on the floor, staring up at the ceiling with matching welts on our
ケイちゃん
faces.
は食らうの初めてだよね。
This is the first one you got one, right?
今日のはまだ甘い方。
Today, she went easy on us.
甘いってこれよりまだ上があるってのかよ。
Easy? You mean there's something harder than this? With that, Mion and I both slumped our heads back to the floor in unison. From now on, I'll be careful when I'm within striking distance of Rana.
ほら、さとこちゃん、やっつけちゃったよ。
See, Satoko-chan, I took care of them.
かわいい。
Cute.
お持ち帰りしたい。
I want to take you home. Making sure Rana couldn't see it, Sadako stuck her tongue out at us. Damn it all, using Rana like a puppet. Rika-chan massaged our bruises without even saying a word. No matter what the day had held, the last school bell always came too soon. Our shadows stretched off into the distance.
ねえ、ケイチくん、明日はさ、何か予定とかあるかな？
Hey, Keiichi-kun, tomorrow do you have plans or anything? Huh? It was such a direct question for Anna. I inadvertently blushed. If it was for a date, then wouldn't you do it more subtly? Anna saw me all lost for words and realized that I'd misunderstood and turned red as well.
違うの。そういうのじゃなくて、
No, I didn't mean it like that, you see? So apparently that wasn't what she meant. But since it's always fun when Rena's in a panic, I went along with it a little.
なんだ、そういうのじゃないのかよ。
Oh, really? So it wasn't meant in that way. Playing it up, I slumped my shoulders, feigning dejection.
ケイチ君、なんでがっかりしてるんだろう。太郎。
Keiichi-kun, why are you so disappointed? Why?
みーちゃん。
Mi-chan! Unable to hold it in any longer, Mion slapped me in the back.
そっか、そういう攻め方はおじさん知らなかったわ。
I see, this old geezer never knew you could push her buttons like that.
なんなの？
Huh? What is it? Mion was rolling on the floor, clutching her stomach while Rena flayed around, completely bewildered. I couldn't help but start laughing as well. Feeling just a bit guilty, I ruffled Rena's hair.
嘘、ごめん、冗談。悪かったよ。
Kidding, sorry, it was a joke. It was my fault. She really is a cute one.
冗談ってどこからだろう。
Huh? A joke? Since when?
え、あ、途中から。
About halfway through.
途中から？
Halfway?
ってことはケイちゃん、最初の真っ赤になったのはあれ演技じゃないんだ。
Okay, Chan, that means you weren't acting when you blushed at the start?
それって。
Huh? So that means? It was only a momentary lapse, but there was no way Mion would let such a delectable detail slip by her.
いや、その。
Well, you see. Saying anything more was also a bad idea. In my bewildered state, I slipped further into an unfavorable position. After that, Mion continued to tease me about it for a while.
で、明日が暇だと何なんだよ、レナ。
So, why were you asking if I'm free tomorrow, Rena?
何の話だっけ？
Huh? Oh, what were we talking about? It had been so long that Rena had forgotten. That's how long Mion had teased me.
ケイちゃんさ、まだこのひなみ沢一人じゃ回れないでしょ？
It's just, Kei-chan, you probably can't find your way around Hinamizawa by yourself yet, can you? That was true. I hate to say it, but if you blindfolded me and spun me around 3 times like we were playing pin the tail on the donkey, I wouldn't be able to tell up from down here.
そうだな。街へ行くのと学校へ行く以外はまだ自信ないな。
Yeah, I don't think I know how to get anywhere besides back and forth from school.
そうそう。それでね、明日ね、みーちゃんとレナでお散歩しながら、ケイチくんにひなみ沢を案内してあげようよってことになって。
Yes. So you see, tomorrow we were thinking that Mi-chan and I could escort you through Hinamizawa and show you around. That would be a godsend. Frankly, I was happy about the offer.
もちろん行くでしょ？
You'll come, of course, right?
暇ならな。
If I'm free.
女の子が誘ってんじゃん。
You're being invited by a girl, you know.
暇ならな。
If I'm free.
どうせ暇なんでしょ？
You're probably free anyways.
暇ならな。
If I'm free. I was being stubborn so as to not give a clear yes or no. Even though I thought it was a godsend, I'm much too much of a scamp to say so up to front.
ケイチくん、暇じゃないのかな？
Keiichi-kun, you're not free? Perhaps? While Mion and I had our rather sour back and forth, and Rana peeked over at me hesitantly. Figuring I'd been a bit too rough on her, I just gave
す
in.
まん、許せ、ごめん。
Sorry, forgive me. I apologize.
暇だ。
I'm free.
よかった。
I'm glad. The trepidation disappeared from Rena's face as it blossomed into a smile.
おうおう。
Hey now.
ミオンさんとレナさんじゃ随分と温度差がありますじゃん。
Seems like there's quite a difference between how cold you are to me compared to Rena, isn't there? It seems Mion didn't care for how rude I was to her compared to how quickly I agreed with Rena. But her being annoyed was very interesting. So I pushed Rena forward, speeding up our pace to leave Mion
行
behind.
こう、レナ。
Let's go, Rena.
明日は二人っきりで出かけような。
Maybe-
嫌味なミオンは置いてって。
Maybe it should just be the two of us tomorrow. Leave grumpy old Mion behind.
ケイチくんがそれでいいなら。
Oh, well, if Keiichi-kun is okay with that, then...
案内しようって提案したのは私。しかとすんな、前原圭一。
I'm the one who came with the idea to take him around. Don't ignore me, Keiichi, my bara.
二人きりでピクニック嬉しいな。弁当は持ってくか、レナ。
It'd be great if the two of us could go on a picnic together. Should we bring a basket, Rena?
お弁当いるなら、レナ作っちゃおうかな。
If we're bringing a basket, I'll make all the food. Maybe.
レナもしかとすんな。二人がラブラブだって村中に回覧板を。
Don't you ignore me too, Rena. I'll put out a village-wide circular saying that you two disappeared into the hotel district together.
じゃあ、レナ、今日は早く帰ってお弁当の準備するね。
Well then, I'm going home right now to start
明日
making
が
it.
楽しみ。じゃあね、ケイチくんにみーちゃん、さようなら。
Tomorrow's going to be so fun. Later, Keiichi-kun, Mi-chan, bye. Rana bounded off like she was walking on the moon. After the dust settled, all that was left was me standing next to Mion, sprawled out on the ground. There was a welt on her face.
大丈夫か？
You okay?
ミオンとレナの立ち位置。
There was-
2メートルは離れてたはずだぞ。
That there was over 2 meters between you guys.
あんたが来て以来、切れ味は増す一方。
Since you came, they've become sharper.
おじさん身が持たないわ。
This old geezer's body can't take it. Maybe it'd be easier if you stopped saying stuff that makes Rana want to hit you. Or else this will end up being Mion's slapstick comedy hour. If that happened, the results might be fatal.
くじけるなよ、ミオン。レナのジャブを見切れるのはお前しかいない。
Don't feel bad, Mion. You're probably the only one who can dodge her jabs.
私は膝じゃないかと思ってんだけどね。
It felt like it was her knee, though. Could it be that we were hanging around with an unrivaled martial arts master? Maybe someday we'll see her debut in an extreme contact sport.
レナには負けられないぞ。ミオンも鍛えてリベンジだ。
You can't lose to Rana. You need to train up and have a rematch.
ケイちゃんがしてよ。おじさんは応援してる。
Kei-chan, you should... This old geezer will root for you. Mion and I reaffirmed our determination to discover a way to counter Rana's infallible technique. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Higurashi When They Cry. This has been a great time. Thank you all for joining me. Please consider hitting subscribe if you'd like. We'll be back with new episodes every Wednesday, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.